Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, grateful recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day, guys. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe. Leave the video a like. Drop me a comment. By all means, share it with somebody who might get something out of it. Other than that, guys, life is absolutely beautiful. If you're struggling, surrender. Find alignment with what you're supposed to be doing. And like I always found, typically when I was struggling, it's because I was trying to take my will and run amok with it. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, guys. Today's topic is going to be surrendering self-will. I'm going to go ahead and read it. It's actually quite a bit, but it's quite appropriate. Surrendering self-will. We want and demand things go our way. We should know from our past experience that our way of doing things did not work. All of us have ideas, plans, goals for our lives. And though we should always think for ourselves, take initiative and put responsible plans into action, it's when our self-will drives us that things go wrong. When we are living will-driven, things go beyond thinking for ourselves. We think only of ourselves. We forget that we are part of the world outside us. And whatever personal strength we have is derived from our higher power. We might even go so far as to imagine that other people exist solely to do our bidding. Quickly we find ourselves at odds with everything and everyone around us. At this point we have two choices. We can continue in our slavery to self-will, making unreasonable demands and being perpetually frustrated, or we can surrender, relax, seek knowledge of God's will and the power to carry it out, and find our way back to a condition of peace with the world. Thinking, taking initiative, making responsible plans. There's nothing wrong with these things so long as they serve God's will and not my own. Just for today, I plan to do God's will, not mine. If I find myself at odds with everything around me, I will surrender my self-will. Guys, I love these readings, because I can certainly identify with them, and I would think anybody else coming out of anybody in recovery or who's needs help in life to get back on track is probably suffering from the same. I mean, honestly, I put myself out there every time, guys. I'm not calling anybody other than myself out, but this literally shocks me in how much they described the struggles and all the problems that I had in my former life. Because again, though I was given so many opportunities, I constantly took my self-will, what's the word I'm looking for? My self-will, basically, just go with that, and just ran it into the ground, right? Free will, that's what I was looking for. I like to bring that, because again, I think that is a big thing here, guys. Everybody likes to say, how can there be a loving God if there's all these things in the world? Well, again, what separates us from herds of animals is our free will. We have our own choices to decide what's important, what's not, what matters, where we want to put our energy. And oftentimes, guys, as much as that's a gift, it can also be a curse. It certainly was for me, guys. I was, and you know what? I was somebody that enjoys working, so I've always worked hard. I'm pretty intelligent. I'm able to see and read between the lines, so I was able to keep and like, these are all things that should be such a gift. But when I took my free will and I ran it, and I was completely self-seeking, I ran myself into the ground because I was taking all those strengths and using them as a weakness, because they kept me out there struggling when I should have just surrendered so long ago. And again, I'm not complaining, and I'm not saying, I truly believe at this point that there was a purpose to all my suffering. It got me to where I am today. It got me to a point where I can pretty much identify with any person that comes seeking my advice and seeking and wants to look at my story as an inspiration to know that they too can overcome absolutely anything. And I look at that, and that takes all the shame and suffering off my shoulders, because I'm like, okay, as long as I was doing it so that I can now help somebody else with it, I have no problem with it. And I share my story willingly. I'm very open. I know, and I'm not saying everybody needs to be, but I do understand that there needs to be those of us like myself who are willing to go out there and just, bear the brunt of the shame and make public the mistakes that we made, so that other people can, in private, hear these things and know that they have hope. There's always hope, guys. You literally, no matter where you were yesterday. You know what? I heard this analogy on a video earlier, but I'll finish my statement. No matter where you were yesterday, it will not stop you from where you want to get to tomorrow, so long as you're willing to do the work. And the work starts with finding your higher power and then getting in alignment with who you truly are, guys. Because that's the thing. I was out there just trying to portray all these different characteristics that weren't who I am. And I thought that, that's what was necessary. And no. All I was doing was diminishing the light that I am. And I am. I'm a light. I'm a kind, considerate, compassionate person with a lot of good things to offer. And I'm willing to share my story. I'm willing to be vulnerable and put my shame out there, so that others know that they too can get through it, because you absolutely can. There's nothing you can't. Guys, as bad as my record is, and it's pretty fucking horrifying, it's not stopping me from getting to amazing heights. I'm going to share a little something with you guys. I went and looked at our property today, right here in Medford. It is a single-family home with beautiful garages wrapping all the way around. There's like commercial garages on the property. And my friend Doug and I are putting an offer in on that house today. We're not sure what we're gonna do with it, but either way, we know we want it, because we want to keep the commercial garages, because we're renting a bunch of commercial garages, so that'll save us about $2,000 a month between the two of us right there. Use the ones that we have, and then we're either gonna keep the property and have a joint rental property, and rent it, renovate it and rent it out, or we're gonna build a 3-family, 3 condos out of it and sell it as condos, and just keep a right of way for the garages on the property. Either way, that just saved us a ton of money. And guys, I'm about to own a property for the first time in my life. My name is gonna actually be on something. Like, if that is not shocking amount of progress, considering 6 months ago I was looking at being homeless again, to the man that's now letting me buy in the property. And guys, I have the money to do it. That's the key. All my bills are paid, and I've saved a lot of money, like 20% of $800,000. That's what we got to put down, and half of that is mine. So basically, the better part of $100,000. And I have that today, and that's shocking to me, guys. Considering 6 months ago I was $15,000 in debt, $12,000 just in my rent. And not only have I paid off all my debts, and I bought a pickup truck, and I've, fixing my credit, but I've saved all that money. And I'm doing so with balance. I used to work 80, 90 hours a week and not get anywhere. Now I work, like a normal person. I mean, maybe a little more than average, but I still make time, find time to do my videos every day, to cook a homemade meal, to go to the gym. Like, I'm finding and seeking balance, and I'm trying to step out and have more leisure time. And it's not that I don't. It's just I don't know what to do. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to find sober hobbies that interest me, that are positive, and I like to. And I don't like to just serve myself. I like to go out and do things that help another person. So it ends up being a lot more like work a lot of times. But I don't mind that. I'm enjoying my life. I can honestly tell you guys that I love my life like I never thought I'd be able to. And it wasn't any huge. Well, a lot of big changes, but it didn't take massive amounts of work. It happened relatively overnight because I did it spiritually. I understood very early on that this is a spiritual disease and it needed a spiritual cure. So long before I even got clean, I started turning my will over to my higher power. I started praying daily and just being honest and just saying, God, I need help. I can't do this. I can't do this. I can't do this. Just every day I was more and more disgusted, and I just needed relief. I needed relief. And I didn't know how to get there. And I also knew I had to go to rehab, but I didn't, at that point I hadn't accepted that I was going to have to go to rehab. I started getting these downloads from God that said, just shed the drugs and I will help, and he did. And he's done every promise God's given me has been fulfilled. And I'm talking, these are direct downloads right to my brain. And every bit of it's come to fruition, although in my warped way of thinking, I thought it was going to come differently than it had, because I wanted it self-servingly. I was still using my self-seeking behavior, guys. I honestly thought I was just going to lay in bed for 3 days and wake up feeling fantastic. When I've been dope sick for years, I mean, I know what it's like to try and come off the 20-year, 7-gram-a-day heroin and fentanyl habit. It's disgusting. It's horrifying, and yet I thought for some reason, because I'd found my higher power, that he was going to give me special exemption from reality, and that's never going to happen. But when I realized that, I said, okay, I understand, I'm happy to go to rehab. And it was the best thing, guys, and even then, I walked into rehab thinking I was going to stay there for 3 days or 5 days, and I'd be perfectly fine. I'd walk out there and go right back to work, and No, I got in there and realized I needed every bit of help I could possibly get. So I stayed there for a month. And my landlord was great. My friend Doug, he's like, listen, I'll hold your apartment. Stay as long as you need. I want you better. I want you healthy again. And he was fantastic. I called him once a week. I called him on Christmas, called him on New Year's, and he was just happy that I stayed and happy I was doing what I had to do. My apartment was just sitting there waiting for me. And then as soon as I got back, because I'd taken the time to seek God's will for me, I knew that I needed all that help. And then, guys, as I was sitting in there and a few weeks go by and I'm like, Jesus, I'm going to have to leave here in 10 days. Like, I don't have what I need. So I started listening and I started asking God for my next steps. And immediately the next day I hear they start talking about IOP, intensive outpatient procedure. That's something I used to hear about, or programming rather. That's something I used to hear about and think, who the fuck would do that? Go to some fucking, no, are you nuts? Like, I thought that was the craziest thing in the world back when I was homeless and had nothing to do all day. I wanted no part of that. This time I jumped. I said, yeah, me, please. And like, well, who are you stipulated to? I'm not stipulated by anybody. I have no open cases. I have no probation. I got no parole. I'm here on my own free will, but I know that I have to go back to work. I can't go to further housing, plus I still have an apartment. But I know I need intensive outpatient programming. And then I found my primary care, and I got hooked up with the OBAC. Oh, shit! Speaking of which, I've got my injection at 5 o'clock tonight. I almost completely blew that. Guys, we're going to cut this video short. I got to drop what I'm doing, get over to BMC for my injection right now. I got plenty of time, but just enough time. Wow, my God, I just thought of that. That would have been terrible. I almost missed my injection tonight, guys. And I know it's been, the last couple of days, it's been bothering me. Like, I just kept getting reminders on my phone, and it hasn't been in my head like it usually is. Boy, am I glad I thought of that. I can finish the video, but yeah, I got to get my ass in gear, and I got to get going. So, yeah, so God showed me that. See, he just saved me on that one, too. God has shown me my next steps every time I've asked the question of what I need from him. What does he need? What is best for me? Because I continue to turn my will, surrender myself will, day in and day out. And guys, if you follow me regularly, you've seen the difference of what's happened in the last 6 months. My life is shockingly good today. I'm in a better position than I've ever been in my life. Things are amazing because I continue to turn my will over to my higher power, God. And then I take leaps of faith and do the best I can with what I have on a regular basis, literally every day, and try to help as many people around me as I possibly can. Guys, always remember, God loves you, I love you, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.